Hey everyone, I'm gonna make a quick video. I'm not gonna do the entire process because it's been done before, but I'm making a video on replacing my clutch on my 2019 Springfield, and I'm using the Rekluse Clutch Kit to replace it. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I had the Indian cam upgrade done on the bike a couple years ago, and the clutch, the OEM clutch that came with the bike was slipping when I was in 5th or 6th gear, and I had to race the engine for whatever reason. You'd hear it spinning, and then I'd have to let off the throttle until the RPM slowed down so the clutch would catch again. So I got kind of tired of that. And this video, there's already been a video done by Rekluse to show you how to install this on the Springfield, or I guess Chieftain or whatever, as long as it has the 111 Thunderstroke engine. I'm gonna put a link to that video, but I'm just going to point out some things as I'm going along to show you that you need to be aware of, because they don't tell you certain things. Like most videos, they don't tell you what they're talking about. So let me show you a couple of things. And again, I'm going to put the link in the description to show you their video. I just don't have time to do a complete video, but this will definitely help you out some, I think. So let me show you a couple of things. So as you can see, I've already got the primary cover off. It's right there. I got the old seal off, which I'm going to replace. Now, when you go to pull the primary cover off, this is something very important. This, the shift, I forgot what this part's called, but it's a the shifter rod or whatever, okay? Whenever you go to pull the primary cover off, if you watch the video, they don't explain this, but whenever you go pull it off, if you watch their video, the technician is putting his thumb on this, this gear shaft right here. He's pushing on it as he's pulling the cover off. If you don't do that like me, this whole section gets pulled out from underneath in there, which is not good. I think I pushed it back up in there correctly. There's like a spring in there and a washer, but yeah, this whole shifter rod or whatever thingy, I'm no mechanic, I told you guys before, it came out a little bit, and I was like, holy crap. So I've just pushed it back in there. I hope it's in the right spot. I'm pretty sure it is. So again, when you go pull the primary cover off, be pressing on this underneath as you're pulling it off so this won't slide out, because it was really hard to get the primary cover off, and that was sticking there, and that ended up pulling it out of position. So don't do that. Like I said, I took the gasket off, and they got these little knobs right here. You see a little protrusion thing there, and also over here, and the gasket's going to slip over that to hold it in place, I'm guessing, whenever I go to put it back on. One thing that they say is in the instructions is if you have any notching on your clutch basket, which I have these little markings there from the old clutch plates. Okay, they're just going to rub against there, but there's no notching. It's just markings. So I'm assuming that's okay. I don't feel any rough, pieces of metal rubbed off of there anywhere. Same thing on the inside here. There's just markings, so that I'm guessing that should be okay. I don't feel any other than just the metal being, brushed up against. Back to this part here, it's the shift shaft is what it's called. They're telling you in the video, make sure the shim doesn't come off and get stuck inside of the primary cover. Well, what the hell is a shim? They don't even point to what it is. I mean, I was thinking maybe a shim would be something wrapped around here, but I'm pretty sure it's this washer. I don't know why they don't call it a washer, but this was, when I pulled the primary cover off, that was stuck. Well, it kind of came off onto here. So I don't see any other parts in here that would come out. Nothing else comes out. So this, therefore, must be the shim, aka washer. So that's another thing that's really annoying me about this. They don't mention that in their video instructions or the paper instructions. So I just kind of keep that in mind. But there's nothing else that I can see that would have come off that could be considered a so-called shim. Okay, now I'm a little pissed. I hate instructions. Sometimes they make mistakes, and I have to question myself because they're supposed to be the professionals, right? Let me explain. Okay, I've got everything going. I got the first thick friction plate installed. It's the wider diameter one that goes over that judder spring there. So it has to fit over that. So that's the wider diameter, the thick plate. Now, next, according to the instructions and the video that they created, we have to put the 1.2 millimeter. Okay, let me back up. So there are, let's see here, 5 of these friction discs or steel disc or whatever you want to call them, and they are 1 millimeter wide each. They put in the instructions 0.040 inches, and then you have these other ones here. Hang on. This other group here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. They're a little bit thicker, barely. They're 1.2 millimeters, or as the instructions say, sorry I'm shaking the camera, 0.048. So the instructions say to use the thinner ones as you alternate with the friction disc. Those are all the same thickness, but these steel plates you've got to alternate in. Well, it says to use the thinner ones first. However, this one sheet of paper that they included in here, it shows a diagram right there. And if you see at the top there, the 63, 63, 63, so forth, then it changes to 65. Well, 63 is the thinner plate, and 65 is the thicker. However, in the instructions, the little booklet that comes with it, see, not kidding, okay, it shows to install the 0.48 inch, which is 1.2 millimeter, the thicker ones first, and then the 1 millimeter thinner ones. So because the video and this instruction book says that, I'm going to put the thicker ones first and the thinner ones second, and ignore this stupid ass instruction sheet here that throws me off, saying that number 65, as you look on there, it shows the thicker ones last. So that's kind of stupid, man. Come on, Rekluse, get your shit together. I hate this, man. Sorry, back to work. Now I'm going to go ahead and start doing all my alternating as it says in the instructions. Yeah, that's rust on one of the steel, what do they call these things? The dry plates. Actually, I have it on another one too that I've already put in there. You can see my progress. This is one of the thinner ones, the 1 millimeter. I'm assuming that's going to rub off and not be a problem. We'll see. All right, I got them all in there. Everything looks good. Just so you know, you're gonna make a god-awful mess unless you just really prepare. I don't give a damn if that oil gets all over. I'm a part-time amateur mechanic. Who cares? But you might want to get you a trash bag like I did. I have my oil drain pan right there. Just keep it under there because that oil just keeps on leaking out from the oil plugs down there, the drain plugs, drain holes, whatever. And of course the oil filter thingy. So I just put a trash bag. I cut one up to where because as soon as you take that primary cover off, oil's just going to pour down even after you drain the oil. And that's what I did. But it's still going to be messy. I would recommend definitely, if you can, just put a big old plastic sheet underneath all of that and then put that. But I didn't do it. Maybe you'll learn from my mistakes. So, all right, next step is going to be the fun part of putting this all back together. Got to get the gasket on, and if I have any problems, I'll let you know. Okay, if you are going to try to tackle installing a clutch kit on your Indian Thunderstroke engine, in my case it's a 2019 Springfield, in this particular case the Rekluse Clutch Kit, there's one thing that you really need to be aware of before you take the primary cover off. This is so crucial. I remember watching a video from a guy from somewhere in Europe who was putting a Barnett clutch kit on, and he had made a mistake and this so this particular part, the shift lever and spring assembly, all right, that's this right here, this device, okay, this, which is where the shift linkage gets attached to after the primary cover is on. As I'm just gonna go over this again. Whenever you go to take the primary cover off, you really must be pushing on this, because it comes out. It'll come out of here, and if it comes out, there's an arm up in here that I don't know if I can show you, but anyway, it's back up in here, and it has to. It's right there. There's the end of it there. It's on a spring, and it has to connect on the bottom part of that star. What the hell they call that thing? Hang on, let me look. It's a shift star. So anyway, if you don't hold on to this and you pull the cover off, this whole thing, this whole assembly will pull out from this hole that's back up in here. And if that happens, the shift, this little arm it's connected to on a spring up in here, will come off of this other part where the shift star is located. And if that happens, you got to take your this little pulley thingy, whatever, off of here, and you got to pull this out and try to get that arm back down and underneath. I mean, it is a nightmare. I hope I did it right. I'm really concerned that when I put all this together, put new oil in, and go out and ride, that I did it wrong. So I'm kind of pissed about this. But anyway, I really wish that Rekluse would have mentioned that in their video, that you need to be very careful that you hold this in position as you pull the cover off, because if this slides out, then that little arm will pop up. It has a spring on here, and that little arm, like I said, it'll come off and go up, and then you got to push it back down and underneath. As you can see in this picture right here, it's got to go down like that. But mine, whenever I pulled off the cover, it was on top of that star assembly there, which is this little pulley. Hang on, sorry. That little pulley thingy right there, the arm was on top of it. And I had to do some crazy stuff to get it to go underneath, which is where it's supposed to go. So just keep that in mind if you want to tackle this project, because it can really ruin your day. I'm not pissed though, because I have a Pursuit that I can still go ride on and leave this thing up on the rack if I want to until I get it done. So I'm going to go back and put all of these clutch plates back in here. I didn't have to take them out after all. I thought I did. I thought I was going to have to take this whole clutch basket off, which is a nightmare in itself, and I didn't want to have to do that. But anyway, I'm going to link the video to this guy who mentioned this. I'm glad I remember, because I'd seen it a long time ago. And but the thing is he's telling you in the video that the arm that's up underneath there needs to be on top. But that's not true. There's a spring that, as you put the lever down, it engages that spring, and the spring keeps it locked in place underneath. Then he shows you some pictures of what it's supposed to look like. He shows it's correct when or incorrect when it's on top, and correct when it's on the bottom. But he says that it's incorrect when it's on the bottom and correct on the top. So just keep in mind, it's supposed to be down. And again, if this thing comes out like it did whenever I pulled my primary cover off, it was snug on something. I didn't know what it was. It was this. It pulled it out of there, and that made that arm pop up from the spring action. There's a spring right there attached to it. You can see it. And the arm is up there. That it's the other end of the spring. All right, it's been a full day since I finished this install, and the bike runs great. I just love the new clutch. It's smooth, not much different really from the original one as far as the way it shifts, and it's easy to get into neutral. I do not get any slippage of it. I've raced the engine in 5th and 6th gears, and it's like glue. It's super glue, man. It ain't moving. It's not slipping. So definitely worth the investment. But I will say that the biggest concern that I have for anyone trying to do this install is to remember when you go to pull off that primary cover to make sure you push on the, let me make sure I got the name right, the shift lever and spring assembly. That's the little knob that has the shift linkage attached to it. You have to push against that so it will not pull outward when you go to remove the primary cover. Also, the gasket, if you replace it, I probably didn't have to replace the gasket on the primary cover. It was in really good shape, but I figure I'm probably never gonna do this again on this bike, so I went ahead and changed it anyway. I already purchased it. But make sure that it stays in place. Put some oil on it. You wanna pre-oil it, stick it on there, and it should stay in place when you go to put the cover back on. Make sure it's the holes are still lined up all the way around before you put the bolts in. You don't want that thing to leak. I've been monitoring the underside of my bike with it parked after I go out riding, and I got a piece of paper underneath it to make sure there's no oil leaking, which there's not. So anyway, I just wanted to make this video in case you want to change your clutch out. It's not hard to do. It's actually straightforward. I spent a lot of time analyzing things and learning. You know, I want to learn. I want to know what this thing is actually doing, and it's kind of fascinating. So now that I've done it this time around, it took me about a total of 5 hours maybe. I could probably do it in a couple hours. And this is after I get my lift all set up and everything up on there, the bike on it, and you know, the plastic down. Make sure you put plastic down on the ground. You're gonna get oil everywhere, even after you drain it. I'm telling you, oil goes everywhere. It was a mess. But next time I think I'll do a much better job. But it works. That's the number one thing. And I did it myself, and I saved a ton of money, and I did it right, even though I messed up that one little part. So good luck if you try to do it yourself. Again, it's not hard if you have the tools, just basic tools. Send or type in any questions you have in the comment section. I answer all of them. And hopefully, if you need to have this done, it's a great clutch kit. I think Barnett makes one also, but I chose this one, and it's definitely fixed my slipping problem. So anyway, good luck. Have a good one.